Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
PD Beats here from Popternative, speaking to Reggie Rock Bythewood about Swagger on Apple TV Plus. Welcome to the show, sir. It's good to see you.
Thank you. I really appreciate you having me, and for talking to so many of our cast members, man. We appreciate this.
Well, first of all, I appreciate the show, and the first thing I want to say is this is one of my favorite shows on TV right now, and so I just wanted to say thank you because I know you wore many hats on this project and you put all your a lot into this project. So thank you for Swagger is the first thing I wanted to say.
Well, thank you. Thanks for finding it. I mean, there's so much content out there these days. It's just amazing to just even have somebody, like find your show and then stay with it. So, we appreciate it.
Absolutely. So here's the thing. We got a tale of two shows over here, Reggie, because in one regard, you made a show about basketball. The other side of things, you didn't make a show about basketball. It's about way more than just basketball. It's about a lot of things happening in life, social issues, a lot of things happening. Did you notice that? Was that the game plan a little bit? Because I've got a tale of two shows here with Swagger.
Sort of the game plan.
Yep.
I'll maybe give you a brushstroke on it.
Yeah.
It's not a show about basketball.
No, it's not.
Plain and simple. It's not we have basketball in it, and I sort of coined this phrase. We talk about the show, which is to get the audience at the edge of their seat, and while they're leaning forward, hit them with the truth. So much of the basketball is an opportunity to get the audience at the edge of the seat, but also within the game, there's another narrative that's being told.
Yes.
So there might be the narrative about that really deals with, the lack of awareness with teammates or people in your community. There may be, retribution or revenge or redemption. So it's really that within the basketball game as opposed to just being basketball.
Absolutely. I have never in my life have watched a show that has packed so many things, so many important issues, so many storylines in one season of a show. What were some kind of methods or mindsets for you being able to pack so much into Swagger? Like, you put everything in there. Like, there's so much going on.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that we wanted to do was just give every single character their own beginning, middle, and end, their own arc. Like, I think one of the fun things we did in the writers' room is we wrote monologues, just sort of like inner monologues for every character, and we got a chance to read them, and it just really just brought everybody's character to life. And I think that's just a big part of the narrative, is just to give everybody their own beginning, middle, and end.
Absolutely. I talked to you before we started as well. Some of the best arcs, your characters in this show, some of them have some of the best arcs I've ever seen in any television show or any movie. I'd like to talk a little bit about some of them that kind of like that kind of the ones that come to mind right now, if you're cool with that. So, Phil, played by Solomon Irama, that is just unbelievable growth in terms of, we see him in the beginning as kind of like a bully. He's on the rival team with Jace, and then just becomes one of the guys, becomes a loyal friend, has a lot kind of going on. What was it like kind of playing with that arc with Solomon and Phil? Because that's just a powerful character over there.
I mean, one of the funny things about that character in particular, you talk about how his character grows. Like, he is an individual, he's an actor, grew, and like physically, he grew. Like, we showed up one day on set and he was just like a couple inches taller.
Yeah.
And so I think that was part of the fun of it, is just to create this character that just had this armor, this shield in front of him, and just to kind of like, just have like chinks in his armor and really see his vulnerability. I mean, one of my favorite experiences on the show with working with our young actors, or all of our actors actually, so we really leaned into moments that had no dialogue. Mm-hmm. Like, some of the more powerful moments with Bill and Jace and some is when they're not talking. So we always call those moments power of silence. Yeah. And just really credit these gifted actors for being able to deliver on that.
It's amazing. Another character as well. One of my favorite kind of storylines and situation in the whole show is, the character of Nick Mendez, played by Jason Rivera. That is just because the focus is on Jace Carson throughout the show. And Isaiah does an amazing job with that character. He's the big player. He's top ranked and everything. He's got situations where he's a little, conceited and full of himself, because he's seeing all this stuff on social media. Nick Mendez comes and joins Swagger, and he's one of the best players ever. He's got a little bit of that kind of chip on his shoulder. He has things to prove in the rivalry with Jace, but the evolution and growth of that character, where he's so good but just is able to be such a team player and there for his team and there for his friends, is an unbelievable thing. So I'm just curious what that kind of mindset was with that character, with this amazing elite athlete that is just there with everyone and just kind of helping everyone, being so supportive. That's a great arc there with Jason Rivera's character, Nick Mendez.
Well, first of all, we could never pull it off without Jason. One of the great things with Jason as well, that he allows us, he's such a phenomenal basketball player. Mm-hmm. And, we did a wide casting search to find his character, auditioned tons and tons of people. And, here again, in his audition, he allowed me to see that, we could really go there with the character. He has chops. We could let him come in with all this bravado, but then the fun of it is that he has the other side of vulnerability as well. So we just really challenged ourselves to play in that space. And one of the things I love about Jason Rivera's work as Swagger is the storytelling that he's able to do within the game of basketball.
Yeah.
Some of it's dialogue driven and a lot of it isn't. And but you're really hitting on something that was just really important. Is where do they start and where do they end up?
But you know what I mean, though, right? He's coming in as this amazing basketball player, ranked so high, and he's just becomes one of the guys and is there for everyone. It's a great thing to see.
Yeah, but the thing that's interesting too is that while he has a shift, the team has to have a shift.
Yes.
They have to help him out.
Yeah.
So I think the fact that they began to embrace him, and that's sort of a thing, you go to battle with folks in the same court, and at some point, is it individualistic, or do you need this person, does this person need you, and really what it really speaks to is team and community, and all the things we really lean into with Swagger.
And getting back quickly to the character of Phil, played by Solomon, I'm just curious, just as a fan of the show, because I'm just wondering about it. You see, in the first episode, you see Solomon's character, Phil, on the bus, and he's kind of chirping and everything. And then, it's not, then we see him again, on the basketball team, and they're actually kind of showing him in the locker room, talking to the team. It's interesting because it's almost you did it on purpose to kind of show you're going to need to get to know this guy a little bit. It was almost like a foreshadowing. Do you know what I mean by that a little bit? It wasn't just a bully on the bus, so to speak.
Yeah, I think that, we've really become comfortable with, you seeing everyone's hard exterior. Mm-hmm. And then just chipping away. Mm-hmm. I think there's a really important scene between Solomon and Jace when they're in the barbershop.
Yes.
In our second hour of the show. And, we hear Phil, essentially say, there are all these expectations about how he's supposed to be, who he's supposed to be, because he's a big dude.
Yeah.
And that's sort of all they see.
Exactly. And I had a chance to speak to Solomon on my show, and it was tough because we're able to talk a bit about spoilers and stuff, but we talked about it before the show came out. So it's always hard having those interviews because you have so many questions. Because me as the media interviewer, I've seen the show, but no one else has, right? So but now, it's out now, the show is wrapping up.
Finale's on Friday, so.
Finale's on Friday, absolutely. It's no surprise, Reggie, this show has a lot of storylines that tough subject matter. It's difficult. It's difficult to watch. The combination also of there is a lot
to live, by the way.
Yeah. Exactly. watching like episode 7, Radicals, you know, it felt like I went on a roller coaster like 12 times in a row and like no stop. Like that was an emotional ride. And because what would like for that episode, I mean, that felt like a movie. Because like, you know, there's the diner and then the whole basketball game, and like that was crazy. But how were you able to, well, I'll just ask quickly about Radicals. Got another question, but what was that scene? What was that episode like for you? Because there was a lot going on in that episode.
Right. Excuse my dog in the background. He's just hanging out with me.
No worries.
It's my friend. Yeah, hashtag Radicals is what we called it.
Yeah.
You know, and what was interesting about that is that was one of the first first concepts that I had when I was putting together the show. Like I knew I wanted to do one, and I'm gonna be a little vague for people who haven't seen it yet, because we know some people are going to come in and binge.
Yeah.
But it was one of the early concepts I had. I really wanted to see what would happen if the team, you know, went on this road trip and was confronted with racism, and what would that do to the team? Would it pull them apart? Would it bring them closer together? And interesting enough, I wrote that. I wrote it with a really great writer named George Dorman, who's a sports journalist. And this was written initially in 2019, before COVID, before George Floyd and Breonna and all those horrible incidents we heard about.
Yes.
And actually also before the whole January 6th events of the Capitol, right? And so we wrote this, and I directed it. And I was sort of like, man, am I going too hard? Am I like, is this going to be reflective of where we are? And it was actually even just more reflective of what I could have imagined.
Wow.
You know, so certainly by then COVID had happened, and I wrote the COVID part into the story. And so some of the crowds had thinned out, everybody's wearing a mask, but it really felt like an opportunity to really hold the mirror up to society.
Yes.
To really challenge perspectives. And that's ultimately what we want to do with our entertainment, is to just really entertain, but, you know, can we also like walk away with a different concept, with a different viewpoint, and ultimately challenging ourselves to see, you know, what kind of country, what kind of world do we want to help build?
Well, there's a lot happening right now, Reggie, in storytelling. And I think one of the best things about storytelling right now, and Swagger is a perfect example of this, is stories that are never told or don't have the chance to be told are now finally getting told, Reggie.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that it's also like gratifying, because a lot of these type of stories that, you know, that I would have, you know, told or have told early in my career, you know, you just think of them as like domestic. And, you know, the fact that we have this great platform and Apple TV Plus, and that it can be global, that we can just reach people domestically and internationally, I think is really meaningful, and in some ways makes the world smaller, because, you know, really ultimately what we're doing with this show is really looking for connections.
Yeah, absolutely. So my first, because I went on a little bit of a tangent because I thought of hashtag Radicals, because that episode, I'm telling you, that episode stayed with me for a week. Like it was important. The show, like we said, tough subject matter, a lot of tough storylines, has a lot of heart as well in a lot of aspects as well. A lot of the relationships between a lot of different characters, Ike and the team. Did you find it challenging to balance kind of certain aspects and certain components of the show, like aspects of heart and comedy, but then all the really important situations and issues that need to be kind of addressed? What was that balance like for you when you were creating Swagger?
I think that's part of the, you know, the fun. Even like when we talk about hashtag Radicals, you know, there's this moment where, you know, how do I say this without giving away too much if you haven't seen it? But there's a moment where they're all like lined up at the national anthem, and it's a dramatic moment, but then O'Shea leans forward looking at somebody, and it suddenly becomes funny, you know? And that just feels like the space that I want to work in, and feels really authentic. Like there's a lot of drama that goes on in our world, but this also just feels a lot of humor. And look, at the end of the day, these are youth players, they're kids, and they're goofy at times. They deal with a lot of hard, circumstances, and so I just felt it just felt authentic. I mean, there's joy, there's pain, there's there are all these things that really challenge you to build up that inner drive, that swagger, to help you navigate throughout the world. So it just felt like an authentic space, and it was fun. We had a lot of laughs on our set, by the way.
I know it's amazing, and here's the thing too. I'm saying this, not you, because you were the creator of the show. You're the showrunner of Swagger. I'm saying this for all my viewers. Okay, the finale is going to be out on Friday. This is one of the best shows on TV right now. This is one of the most important TV shows on TV right now. Even if you're not a fan of sports, we addressed at the beginning of this interview, everyone, this is not about basketball. This is about way more than basketball. So I'm telling all my viewers right now all over the globe, watch Swagger on Apple TV Plus, because you got to, because it is by far one of my favorite shows right now. And Reggie, I'm talking back to you now because I was talking to them. I mean, I love chatting with all your cast. It's amazing to see the perspective. Everyone, was on the same page with, how much kind of heart and how amazing it was to work with everyone on the show. What was it like just kind of working with everyone on the show? If you can go into detail a little bit more about that, working with Ozie, Quvenzhané, what was that all like for you as well?
Yeah, it was great. I will tell you, there's one thing that really becomes, uncomfortable a lot when we do these interviews and stuff, and I appreciate it, and everyone, talks about like all these great things I did, and I'm really proud of the show, but also just have to like give a lot of love to, to my writing staff,
Yeah.
and all the other directors that came in, and it was just like the DP, the editors, like it was such an amazing collaboration that we had. And my job was to have this vision and execute it and really just put together a great team that really helped elevate, everything I was looking to do.
An amazing collaborative effort. Absolutely.
Yeah. O'Shea is a different, O'Shea Jackson Jr. is a different type of guy. O'Shea is
Go Lakers, right? He won't let you forget.
And by the way, it could be a very dramatic scene.
Yeah.
Very dramatic. And it's like 5 seconds before calling action, and he'll be like, "Go Lakers." Like literally, And then, the actors have to be ready because he can just turn on a dime and just be very dramatic. But he's fun, and I think that he was just really great for our cast and crew, because in many ways, look, he's a great young man, and on another level, he's a big kid, and we just love working with him. Quvenzhané was amazing because she didn't come onto the show as a baller.
No.
And she just came in very determined, and she spent about 3 months, like just every day working on her game, and it really shows. And she continued her training throughout our shoot. And so it was really, it was amazing to just see her drive and determination, and the way that she just held on to this character and just rocked it.
Oh, absolutely. Everyone rocked it. It was amazing. Before we wrap up here, when people watch your show, when they watch Swagger on Apple TV Plus, what are you hoping they get out of it takeaway wise, Reggie?
The reality is, you talked about all the different characters, and so there are so many different layers, and one of the things that I really attempted to do is to give a view from every seat in the house, right? So we have the kids' perspective, the players' perspective, the parents' perspective, sneaker company, coach's perspective, and one of the more gratifying things is to hear from fans who got so many different things from it, and that's really great. I mean, I would say a couple of things. One, part of the fun is that this is a show that people can watch with like their kids.
Yep.
And not feel compromised like they're watching a kiddie show, but also not feeling like they're watching something really vulgar or dealing with drugs and whatever it is. It's like it's a really great show that's cross-generational, and I really appreciate that.
Yep.
I would say that I'd love to challenge adults' perspectives on this question of how we treat kids in this country and in this world.
Yep.
That's a big part of the narrative. And ultimately, really embracing and understanding why I named the show Swagger, and Swagger, at the end of the day, in context with our show, is really about having a cause bigger than yourself. And so when you have that cause bigger than yourself, whether it's team, family, community, it gives you that inner drive that you need to persevere, to go after your dreams. And ultimately, if we're all doing this right, at the end of the day, while we're chasing our dreams, we're serving as well.
Absolutely, that is so amazing. And yeah, for me, like the big thing is just the growth and evolution of a lot of these characters is just sensational. Like I just have to say that. Like it's just awesome to see the growth. Like it's just so cool.
Yeah.
Like to see and you lived it, like you were with it, you saw it firsthand.
Yeah, I think that, what happened in the world was also a great opportunity for that, because we were shooting. Mm-hmm. And then when the pandemic hit, we were shut down for like 6-7 months, mm-hmm. And so when we came back, the kids were bigger. And so I advanced the story, and they were, no longer, in the 8th grade, they were in the 9th grade, and we were in a pandemic. And so it allowed so much growth for our characters, but just real life growth with these, young actors, young athletes.
I know it's amazing. No, it's real. It's authentic. Like you mentioned the word authentic. Like it is authentic, and that's like there's so much to love about the show. Reggie, I wanted to thank you so much for coming on Popternative to chat about Swagger. It really means a lot that you took the time. So thank you very much.
Really appreciate it. Thanks for the support, man.
Absolutely. So yeah, on Friday is the finale of Swagger on Apple TV Plus. So before that, they can go and watch the first. How many total episodes? Is it 10 episodes?
10 altogether.
So they can watch the 9 and they can get ready for
those first 9 and be ready.
And where can people follow you on social media to keep update with everything?
I'm on Instagram. I'm and Twitter. I'm Reggie Rock. I'm Rock the Film. And that's what it is. And I took a little vacation from social, but I'm back on, and we've been having fun, just chatting with fans, and it's been a lot of fun to connect with everyone.
Absolutely. Well, this has been Popternative, youtube.com/Popternative for previous episodes. Popternative.com has other content as well. Until next time, this is Reggie Rock Bythewood from Swagger on Apple TV Plus and PD Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.